Welcome to the Inside Scoop, a podcast about self-improvement and knowledge seeking. Our aim is to explore a diverse range of topics and perform self-checks on whether we're being the best versions of ourselves every week. I'm your host, Marius Urbelis, and this time here with me, I have my co-host, Oscar. Hi.
Hi there.
And well, let's get started. So, I remember how I sort of cut you off a couple of episodes back, but then I didn't really cut you off because of the technical difficulties. You weren't able to hear me, and then do you remember what topic we were talking about?
Yeah, I roughly remember it. I think you remember it better because you just went and listened to it.
I was moved when you were like going on this quite a lengthy explanation of how I believe it was we as like humans have manufactured. And I mean, the episode itself was called, what was it, like engineered to be distracted or something. So it's like, I liked the idea that you brought forwards about like how it's as if we ourselves are creating the systems that we then follow and almost jails that we put ourselves in, be it mentally, societally, or, the conventions, the systems, everything that surround us. And I just wanted, I think what I said in that episode was like, oh, let's just call an episode. We're all confused, like the title, because I mean, I'm confused. I don't know about you, but like looking at all these systems and then realizing that, oh, well, these weren't really created by anyone smarter than us. I think that's what Steve Jobs said. If not someone else said that before him, that's where I heard this from. It's like, yeah, it means that we're creating it and then we're living it. So I don't know. Do you have anything coming up right now that you want to expand or?
I guess I'm not quite getting what you're saying there. What is the point you're trying to make right there?
Well, I'm just trying to bring up the conversation that we had, but we sort of, it sort of slipped with the time.
Sorry, because you're saying that the systems that we have were created by us, but not anybody else. Like there isn't some.
Yeah, very much. Well, that's the quote. It's like everything that was created around us wasn't really created by anyone smarter than us. So it's as if you really wanted to create everything, like systems, objects, gadgets, you would need a lot of time, effort, a team, people and all that. But it's just like, it's us that are creating it. Not necessarily to say like, I'm creating something, you're creating, but it's like we as people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to expand on your ideas from the last?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the connection between the fact that we create these systems, well, the fact that it is us that create these systems, not just one person that coordinates all of this, or a couple of people or a few people at the top that coordinate all of this, relates to how this idea relates to the idea that we engineer very strict systems for ourselves and try and find the relationship, like the connection that you're trying to make.
Because I mean, we live with both of them, both the societal norms and everything that's created by the society, for example, and then, well, whatever you create for yourself, like discipline-wise, for example, you still do have to live with both of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which one do you want to expand on? Is it the systems that we, as in ourselves, are creating, like
individually?
Yeah, or because what I thought when you actually said it all, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like, it's we as a society are creating these
It's interesting,
cells,
actually.
whatever. Like, I don't know. Yeah, just
It's interesting to think about to what extent would we engineer such systems if we were just an individual forever on our own without any influence from the rest of individuals in this organism that we call humanity. It's just really thrown me into the deep end because I'm really confused right now.
isn't that what the episode's supposed to be called?
Yeah, I thought we were pursuing some other question.
What is it?
The question of, have we created these very rigid systems for ourselves, like altogether, primarily focusing on the influence of humanity as an organism on the systems that we've created, of course influenced by other things and our environment as a whole, but systems such as schools, and you said jail, so that kind of brings into mind like the jail of the systems we've created, and that also brings into mind the literal jails, prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Another system where we kind of decide we've got these sets of laws, and if you don't abide by these laws, we will put you in jail. So another system that we've created, and evidently, you know, we've got people in jail, so some people aren't following these laws. So we have created some kind of we have an idea of some sort of a utopia, even though it's a moving goalpost, right? Because we can't have a utopia because it's the idea of a perfect society, right?
Yeah.
And we can't really have a perfect society with not everybody agreeing on what that is. And also, you know, as we move forward, so we have this kind of idea and we're working towards it. It's like when you've got a goal, you get to that goal, and then it's like, okay, what next? It's like when we're working towards this goal, we forget whatever the hell the goal was, and we come up with something new. And I don't know. This is such a confusing topic. I don't even know what point I was making right now.
I was sort of getting the gist of it, and then like it sort of slipped. Yeah. So environments shape civilizations, populations, whatever. Like, I don't know. Even like observing the wild, the nature, they still have some sort of systems. They don't have probably as literal of systems as we have, where we literally have rules printed on pieces of paper, right, or something. But they would still have some sort of things that okay, I mean, let's dissect this all. Let's backtrack if you want. Okay. So like in their lives, for example, let's talk about a wolf, or a lion, or well, let's just stick to wolves. Again, I'm not a biologist or anything. I don't know much about them, but like from the tales and from the observations and from the nature videos and everything, I mean, you just start to see that they hunt for food, and that means that their physiological need is food, just like, you know, everyone else usually needs food to survive. What else do they need? They need, I don't know, mating to like continue their population. And I don't really know what else. Like, I don't know. What else do wolves need on their daily basis to survive, to be? Like, maybe they start to control territories, right? For safety. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much it, isn't it? Food,
Yeah.
mating, and then I don't know. Well, in human terms, it would be shelter, but like, yeah, they have a territory they control or something like that. So,
Hmm.
and that's simple.
Yep.
The systems that are created are also easy to understand between them all. Because like, if you see a wolf, and then he is in a certain territory, there's his, I don't know, cubs, or what are the little wolfies called? Like, if the other wolf, when he comes along, he just sees an angry wolf, and then they understand that it's like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't be here, or if I'm aiming to eat them, then I probably should attack them or whatever. Like, it's way simpler than, so this is where I'm getting, right? It's way simpler than humans currently are. Again, right? Like the whole wolf pack dynamic of having the whole pack, it's way more difficult than I'm explaining, but still, for wolves, and or for, like, simpler creatures, they need food,
Hmm.
they need, like, their physiological needs are the main ones. And for us
Yep.
humans, and I think this is where, like, this is the main idea that I liked when you explained this last time. It was because we as humans, we have created all of that ourselves, because we started to need, like, self-actualization. We're needing, socializing, all of that. And thus, with the informational age, it's not all that simple anymore, because you don't have just these two needs of having shelter and food. This is becoming way more difficult to actually even obtain this. I mean, yeah, you could go and work I guess a so-called low-end job, and just pay the bills, pay the rent, and, like, pay for food, assuming your job would cover all these expenses.
Hmm.
And then people just get confused, dude. Like, I'm confused. There's so many
So,
pathways and everything. Like, now we're in uni, right? Like, we're sort of already specializing towards a certain direction. Well, I think back in the high school, that was even worse. It's like, you look around and there's all of these programs. Like, again, you don't have to go. Well, that's another thing. That's why people are so confused. Like, you don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to university. But if you do, you'd rather have a good reason why you're
well,
going there.
so it's part of, like, the reason we choose to go to university is some sort of an external pressure, societal pressure that we feel, and it's very hard to take that apart and explain it.
But again,
Uh,
it's not as simple. Not everyone goes to university just because everyone says, "Oh,
no,
you
no, no, no,
should,"
but
right?
no, but yes, and that I'm saying it's not that simple because we can't identify where it's coming from, but it's always some sort of an external pressure that acts upon you. Uh, Whatever, it may be whatever made you what it is. It's not in the moment necessarily. It most likely isn't in the moment. So it's not like somebody that you're dependent on decided that you have to do something, like, oh, you have to go to college. It's more likely, it's not more likely, but it's, partly things that you were taught growing up. So even if you become completely independent of your parents, and you respect them, but you don't let them make the decisions for you, all the external influences, which a lot of which were your parents growing up, kind of have influenced the decision that you make to go to college eventually. Say there's something that um you feel like you need to do this to, well, it's again, it's not easily explainable. You can't really explain it. It's I think it's silly to attempt to do that. um but yeah, there's just forces that you don't understand, and they act upon you. and they shape your personality. And it's we need a wider society for people to. We need the society first of all for to have these systems like colleges, um, and then it just follows that people choose to go to these colleges for some reason, which was originally why we created colleges and educational systems.
Yeah,
But as
then
you were
then
talking,
there's another thing stems from it all. Like, what do we choose, right? There's so much. Like, if we accept the fact that, for example, we want to go to college, we want to get an education and all that. Now there's so many directions to take.
yeah. But as you're talking about the wolves, and you're talking about how they're, if we observe what wolves do, and it's much simpler. You might want to say, of course, to the wolves, what they do isn't very simple because they don't really have, they act intuitively, but they don't try to observe from with an empirical approach the things that they do, right? They don't have they don't think about the psychology of what they do and so on. And then you have humans who have gotten to the point where we want to analyze ourselves and so on. And so I feel like, because we've gone from doing things intuitively, what I brought up in that episode, if you have a farmer, most of what he does is
Like
intuitive. If
physically,
you have
like manual labor usually.
yeah, and
Or
then
just
if you want to
movement.
teach
Yeah,
somebody
sorry.
to do something, you do the thing, you show them how to do it, and they repeat it after you, and then that's how they learn it. And it's all very intuitive until we try to create educational systems which take large groups of people, large populations of people, and put them through the same kind of learning. Is where we start to engineer systems, and we're like, you've got to learn this, this, and that, and then once you've learned that, you can choose to do this or this or that. And there's already people waiting there to teach you, to specialize in that thing. But if we take it even further back, as I said in the last episode, even more intuitive than the farmers, because farmers will have their methodologies, but even more intuitive if we go back to hunters and gatherers, very simple. Wake up, go hunt food, cook the food or something, I guess, eat it, joke about, go to sleep, right?
So do you think they were less confused because of it all? Because of the
Um,
simplicity of their day? Maybe
I think
more of
it's
a
hard to
linear.
quantify. Yeah, I think there's linear. There's a I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a continuity. Like, why you're doing one thing, and then you don't question why you're doing what you're doing, really, because it's immediately justified. It's like, why are you going immediately or close to immediately justified? Why are you going out to hunt? Because you're hungry. You want to, we want to have food at the end of the day so you don't starve, and that's it. And then your reason for doing something in modern society is far removed from the things that you are doing. Get from the thing that you are doing. So the reason why you're doing a thing is far removed from your doing, and a lot of the times, people don't actually know why they're doing something. Well, they do. Well, they're not. They don't think about it, that they
I mean,
know why they.
dude,
They
imagine how
don't know.
intuitive is it to put some money in some sort of an institution, and then after 20 years apparently reap the benefits of having more money because of
Right.
your investment and everything. How intuitive is that? Like,
But so the intuition, the you tie it directly to something, but with why are you studying? Oh, well, because my parents asked me to study like 2 hours a day or something, so I do well at school. And it's like you just exist within that system. It's like for some reason there is some you feel some sort of a power that your parents have over you, right? Some sort of influence, and
Mm,
somehow you respect that influence. And I'm not sure what that comes from. I'm sure this has been studied well. Probably that they're providing you with food, probably that they can discipline you, depending on which part of the world you live in. And they provide shelter over your head, roof over your head. So I don't know. It's hard to say where it all comes from. But you feel that sort of power that they have over you, and they're like, yeah, we want you to study, and then say they're not happy when you get bad grades, and then that gives you a bad emotion, and you're like, okay, I better get better grades. Um, but say after you kind of realize, okay, if you can become independent from your parents, it's like, what then? It's like, who's expecting me to get, say, good grades now? Nobody. So what should I do now? So now you've kind of lost the sense of continuity, while the hunter and gatherer is doing the same thing for the entirety of his life, day after day. Suddenly you've got a big change in your life, and you've got to be able to adapt to that. So that there's I guess a loss of continuity there. I don't know if that was exactly what I was trying to get to with the loss of continuity, but
yeah,
I
but
think so.
so do you think that like the systems that we create actually we create the systems just so it's easier and more intuitive for us?
Oh yeah, I was getting at that. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we've gone from intuition to methodical. Uh, Methodical, basically, just that we have a certain types of methods and systems, basically, that we go to, like the educational system, when we need to do something. And then we just use them over and over. It's like, what do you do when you have kids? They grow up and you send them to school, and you all do that. It's the same thing. It's constant, but you redo it repeatedly. It's because we've done it for so long, and it seems to work fine. Of course, as time moves on, it's also going to change, but we're comfortable with it because it's constant. Um, and then, obviously, because we get so comfortable with it, it gets to the point where it's we're kind of in denial of it not working anymore. So that's the problem when we creating rigid systems. You have to be aware that they're supposed to only last for a certain amount of time, and then you have to reevaluate them. And I feel like the systems that we create come from our need of understanding and also being in control of things. I think being in control mostly, because I've got this written down here, but so we went from kind of intuition into methodical because of our need for control. And then when we have systems and we can put them down on paper, and we can just go back to the piece of paper where we wrote them and see, okay, these are the steps. We feel like we're in control of what's happening, right? More and more. But obviously, this is circular, so I don't. I'm not saying this is a reason for why we. I know I just did say that, but I'm not saying this is the sole reason for why we moved from intuitive to methodical. I think there's the external factors, like the fact that maybe not even external, but the fact that we invented language somehow, and then invented writing somehow. The fact that we can put things down on paper, I think, contributed to the fact that we maintain these systems, because now they're in a permanent format on a piece of paper. I'm not really going anywhere with this because it's circular, but
Yeah, but so like well, I know we have to go, and to start wrapping it up. And dude, I think we could even expand this sometime in the future. I think people are trying to avoid confusion. Can this
yeah,
be it?
I think
People
you
don't like
perfectly said that
uncertainty.
right there.
People
Yeah,
don't like
that's
uncertainty.
perfect.
Wow. Like I've had a
Yeah.
discussion with some person who's very deeply Christian, and there's no problem about that. It's like deeply religious people, it's completely fine, right? Like it's up to them. And then I was trying to explain my Zen philosophy and like the way that the philosophy is always providing you with questions and it's encouraging you to question yourself and everything else. And then the person said, well, but I don't like that. Like, how is it explaining anything? Even like implying that that sort of Christianity or the religion that they choose actually explain everything. Which, well, in my eyes, it's as if like someone created a story and then they presented it to you. And again, I don't know anything about the legitimacy of all these religions, and trying to not offend anyone with religions and blah blah. Like it's fine. But like the way I'm looking at it is, I don't really want to believe in something that's completely and as if unquestionably saying that, yes, this is how it is. Although the person said, well, I need answers. So it's like, I need this explanation. So I would imagine that any explanation that the person gets is still better for them than just trying to use their own mind to like try and answer the question, or not even answer, ask the questions. It's easier and more comfortable for the person to be less confused than confused. So
Yeah, it's a really good point you bring up of the we don't like uncertainty, and it's interesting. Why don't we like uncertainty? And I think for one, certainty gives you some sort of, well, you're in control, but if you have other people also buy into this feeling of certainty, then it buys you some security as well, because now everybody is kind of operating within the same realm. And then, well, what happens is you get friction with people who question that, right? You get the crusades and stuff. So
yeah, man, I don't know. We used to say the ending words, the last words of every episode, like summing it up. I think we sort of fell out of the habit of it, but for this one, what do you think we should say?
I think you just said it. I think
People don't like confusion, or
no, people don't like uncertainty. It's just good enough for now. We can expand on that
boom.
later. And
People don't like uncertainty, but like it's beneficial, and training one's intuition would probably yield some benefits in this modern day.
yeah, as we say, keep don't settle and keep questioning everything.
Ooh, that's good.
Very
That's
first
good.
episode.
Yep, well, that was us. Thank you, Oscar, for having this beautiful discussion with me.
Thank you as well.
And everybody, see you later.